fabulous Louise Yexley, who is a Women in Business Network business owner. She is fabulous. I cannot wait to put her business under the spotlight. Thank you so much for joining me on the Business Spotlight today, Louise.
Thank you very much for having me, Elaine. I can't wait. This is going to be great.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. My whole ambition with the Business Spotlight is to show women and men out there that, there is other ways to exist in the financial world. We can make a living in different ways. And I know from talking to people who, first of all, I work with, but also who I network with, that they're doing things differently. And so I'm very excited about talking to you about your business and showing other people, look, you might have a little dream at the back of your head, or maybe you don't have a dream, but you're thinking about pivoting and you could do it. So my first question is going to be, what happened with you? Like, why did you start working? Why did you become a franchisee owner with the Women in Business Network?
Okay, right. So, where to start? Go back probably 15, nearly 20 years ago, and I had just had my children. They were 3, 5, and I had been an HR advisor previously. And my husband had had a bit of a midlife crisis and decided to open a company called part of a franchise called The Best Of. So we had never had any experience in marketing, decided that we would run this company together because you could. And I Googled networking near me, and Women in Business was actually launching a group in Hitchin. So I went along as a member, as a visitor, to see what it was all about, and then decided to join. And a few years later, decided that I would become a franchisee and start to run my own groups. There you go. Done the talk, you see. Talk the talk, walk the walk.
Wow. And so now what do you do? Like, how many groups do you have now? Is it like, are you still working with your husband, or are you focused solely on, as I call it, women or Women in Business Network?
Yeah. Well, firstly, I'm still married, so we've not got divorced. We worked together for 10 years. So that was an experience which, was great, but I'm glad that bit's over now. And Women in Business Women is actually my full-time job now. So when I first started, I was just running the Hitchin Group in Bedfordshire, or Hertfordshire, should I say. And from there, I then grew and grew and grew, and I've got almost 11 groups now. So it's a big part of what I do. I meet hundreds and hundreds of business women every month, which is amazing because you're all bloody brilliant. Can I swear? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's me, you can.
That's true.
Of course you can. Of course you can. And I know how passionate you are about your group. So yeah, it is bloody brilliant. Like, it's so good. Like, you're holding space for all those women and all those businesses. Like, who joins the network? Like, who do you see? Is there any type of business, or is it all types? What stage are they at? Tell me a bit about who you work with, so to speak.
Yeah, good question. So I guess it's any type of business. It's not a particular category. Tend to be smaller businesses. So roughly kind of one woman bands up to maybe firms of accountants or solicitors that have got 50 or 60 staff, kind of that focus. Mainly women who are working for themselves, maybe have just started up, or perhaps 2 or 3 years down the line. And you've got a passion for what you do, you love what you do, so you make a business, and then you're like, I don't really know what to do. I love this, but I don't know how to get my name out there. I don't know what I'm doing from business point of view. We have lots of people who are have been made redundant and or have just had children and don't want to go back into the corporate world. So there's a real mixture of business women from across such a massive background, you know, marketing ladies like yourself, accountants, solicitors, to, you know, cleaning services, dog trainers, all sorts, you know, anything you can imagine will you know, will connect. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. What do they love about working with you? Because I know, so I am a member of Women in Business Network and I am part of your fabulous National Keller group. Even though I am in Dublin, Ireland, we meet on Zoom once a month and you hold some space for us, which is just brilliant. And I'm doing a bit of an ad now for you.
Carry
Not
on.
recommended enough. But like, what I do know, because with the national membership, you can go from group to group. But
Okay.
so I've never been to your in-person groups yet. So tell me, like, you know, like what do your members love about working with you? What do they say makes you different, Louise?
Oh, you know what? It's really weird because I run 10 groups, almost 11. Did I say that? Almost 11. Um, it's funny because you can go to one group and you can go to another group. And although I run both groups, the groups will be different because of the people in there. And sometimes you just click with one set of people and not with another set of people. So I think with any kind of networking group, it's really important to make sure you've got the vibe of the group, you know, feel comfortable with, because at the end of the day, you're getting to know these people really well. You know, you can't turn up to a networking group and just go away expecting to get a heap of business. I mean, you might, depending on what you do, but it takes time, it takes effort. You know, you need to get to know each other as people, find out about their backgrounds, you know, what they love, their family, you know, you need to build up a relationship. So I think networking is different for different people. Some people come along because they are perhaps I'd say lacking in confidence, less confident than others, and they're really nervous. And walking through the door is actually the hardest thing to do, and that puts so many people off because I mean, I know you don't have to walk through a door because we're on national, so you just have to flick your screen on. But even that, you know, how am I going to interact with 20 people on a screen? You know, how do I get to know that? And I know, for example, with you, you know, and I can't remember who it was, but you met up with one of the members. They came up for a holiday, didn't they? And then came to meet you. And I think that is amazing. You know, that's the best part, is building those relationships up. So I can't remember the question, but basically, in terms of what people love about networking, I think is really quiet. It's an individual thing, because some people come because they work all day in their kitchen, and they want to get out and meet people. We'll get people that maybe have been in business for 10 years and think, oh, you know what, I just need a bit of inspiration. People will come because they can get ideas off each other. You know, we do that hot seat thing in our meetings where we have a bit of a brain dump and say, oh, this is what I'm thinking. What do you think, ladies? And we'll all go, oh, actually, what have you thought about this? And what about that? And have you done that? And so people come to networking for different things, but it's not a quick hit, as you know, it does take time. And I think the more that you put in, the more you get out. You know, if you just switch on your screen once a month and turn up, then, you know, nice. Or if you come to a local meeting and you're just coming along for the food, okay, you know, fine. But that's not what it's about. So
Yeah.
I don't know, did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. You did. You did. You did. Like, and I think that that's what makes you different, you know? So I asked you, like, what do they love about working with you? And I think it's that you are an amazing facilitator and you hold space for the people, and you allow the group to have its dynamic and you allow it to flourish, because you're an amazing connector. So yeah, you did answer the question. Thank you. So
I think I think it is, because I've been doing it for so long, like nearly 17 years now, I've met hundreds and hundreds, literally hundreds of women. Um, and there are some really full on, outgoing, amazing women. And there are some other women who, are very quiet, and come along and don't necessarily say an awful lot. But the thing that I hear each time is there's no clicks, there's no cliques, there's no kind of standing in the corner chatting to your little group. It is about everybody in the room and how we can help each other. That's the important thing. You don't go to a networking group to sell. You go to listen to what they say and see how you can help them, and in return they'll do the same for you, and then connections and work and referrals and help. I mean, the thing for me, Elaine, is that in our WhatsApp group, I see what happens in between the meetings. People are saying, does anybody know how to do this? Can anybody help me with that? And everybody's just so forthcoming. It's like, yeah, I use this and I do that, and I'll jump on a Zoom to help you do this. So actually what I love is the connections in between the meetings. What happens in between the meeting is great, but we're just coming together to show what we've been doing. But it's what happens in between the meetings that I think are the most important things.
yeah, yeah. And I think that that's really unique about your group. And it's fantastic because, I'm part of other groups and they might say, like even in Ireland, and so they might say, look, use this group to help each other out. But what I think is amazing about the Keller group is it genuinely does. Like we genuinely
Yeah, it does.
do.
Yeah, it's a really supportive group actually, and we've always got loads of visitors coming on, which is great. And I do like the fact which you mentioned that with a national group, which we didn't have before COVID, we did everything face to face. But with the national groups, you can go and visit other groups, and we do training. You did some training for us last week. It was,
Yeah.
So it's not just about the networking; it's about sharing of experience and knowledge and that type of thing as well. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
love it.
yeah. Yeah, it's fantastic. Honestly, I love it. I love it. Tell me, what's the part that you love the most? Like, it's
Well,
not
other
like
than
asking you which is your favorite child. Like what do you, and I'm not saying like, oh, is it in person or is it, but is there a part of your business that you just adore?
I honestly think it is getting to know everybody, all the different women, because I can't really explain it. It becomes a part of your family. So I've got over 120 members who I know. I don't know everybody inside out, but what an amazing network. And I know that I can call upon any of those women to advise me or help me, or if they're down, if it's a bit of a roller coaster. So you go through births, deaths, marriages, you know, mental health issues, all sorts of things with your members, because you become part of their lives. And obviously, when you're talking to people, you talk about lives, don't you? What's happening. And so I think it's those connections. And even when people decide to leave, you still have those connections. I still talk to people that were members 10 years ago. So I've got a massive network of amazing business women, and who still refer me, which is fantastic. And the referrals as well, Elaine, the connections, we're all there obviously to support each other, but at the end of the day we want work. That's what we want business at the end of the day, even just a nice chat once a month. So I think you know, when you see those connections happening and the referrals coming in, you think, yes, yes, this is what it's all about, you know. I don't know if I could just pinpoint one thing. I suppose it's like any job, although it's not a job, you know, it's a way of life. And I think it's difficult to name one thing because there are so many great things. You know, the support of the other franchisees in the network, you know, learning from them. You're not alone. It's certainly not alone. Generally, you know, I can put a post out, and all my members will support me in whatever. Which is, you know, how brilliant is that?
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. But it is testament you have created that, you know, so I hope you appreciate that, you know.
Thank you. That's nice to hear. It's
Yeah,
okay
because
to
sometimes
take a
we forget
compliment.
that. Sometimes we forget that, but like you wouldn't have 11 groups if there wasn't the demand and you're creating the demand by what you're creating. So, you know, good for you.
I like the fact as well, though, Elaine, you know, that the fact you're in Ireland, you can still join in to a group in Hitchin when it's online, you know, and you can come to the monthly coffee lounges online. So we're not alone, are we? It's a wider than the one group that you join. It's, you know, a much bigger
Yeah,
network.
it's a network. It truly is a network. You
Mm.
know, it truly is a network and a huge network, you know. So
Yeah, it's growing all the
yeah, it's
time.
fabulous. It's fabulous. Tell me, then let's come away from you for a second,
Mhm.
and your business. Although it probably will be related. Who
Mm.
inspires you from a business perspective?
Oh gosh, we do this sometimes as part of International Women's Day. We say what woman inspires you and why. Um, and actually, I used to say the Queen, not from a business point of view, the old Queen, bless her, but just as a woman, you know, and everything that she did, um, you know, as well as the family, obviously running and being the ambassador and that type of thing. So I think she was definitely on top of my list as an inspirational woman. There's lots of business leaders, I think, that are inspiring. And I think you need to take elements because there's not one person that does everything perfectly, you know. Um, and I, and actually, I think some of my members, I keep coming back to my members. I just remember the time I was walking the dog one morning, Elaine, and our speaker had dropped out, and I put a message in and said, Elaine, you know, can anybody do the member showcase today? And you came in and said, yeah, I'll do it with like 20 minutes notice. And the 10-minute showcase you did was so inspiring. I think it had most of us we were either in tears or we were clapping like mad and had massive smiles on our faces because it's that type of thing. You know, you don't have to be an amazing, I mean, you are amazing, but you don't have to be you know, raking in an absolute blooming fortune, you know, inspirational business owner. We can we can get that inspiration from our network around us as well. So yeah, a bit of a waffly answer there,
No,
but
I like it. I like it. I like it. And hey, I'm up there with the Queen, so I'm happy with that. You know,
definitely.
even though I'm Irish, I'll still take that. I'll still take that.
Ah,
I'll still take
no
it.
politics.
No politics, no politics. I know, right? Oh, stop it. Okay, and I love the way you just spoke about just like inspiration at different levels, Yeah, I haven't hit seven figures yet, not
You're
even
getting
six
there.
yet, I have before, but not since I had Chifa. I'm on that's the journey I'm on. That's the journey I'm on.
Juggling.
It's all about the juggle. It's all about the juggle.
Mm.
But what I'd love is, to hear because you see so many new businesses. I wonder what advice you would give a new business.
Oh, okay. So I think when we started off, you know, somebody will think of a business because they're passionate about it. Funny enough, we've got a member who's just joined us who hasn't got a business. I know. She joined because she felt the inspiration of the women in the group. She's just been made redundant and she's deciding what she wants her business to be. And she came along, had just Googled us and saw, I think, just wanted some inspiration. So she came along, not really sure. She had a couple of ideas of what she might do. And that was a month ago. And then this month, she came to the meeting and she said, yeah, I've got this great idea now. This is where I'm going to go. And you guys inspired me, and we're all going to, I need your help to move it on. So I thought that was brilliant. That was actually a first for me in all those years. Somebody who wanted to join without having a business. She was like, I just want a group of women that have been there, got experience that I can bounce ideas off. So hopefully, and we will help her over her journey over the next 6 to 12 months in becoming, in growing this completely new business that she started. So going back to your question, I think with businesses, when you start a business, you have, you're good at something, or you like something, you're passionate about something, but you don't have, because we have to do everything, don't we, until we're a little bit more along the way, when we can get a little bit of help with virtual assistants and graphic designers and LinkedIn trainers. So I think running a business is actually quite hard. Well, it's very hard work, as you know, because you have to do the business for yourself and everybody else, but you've got to, run your own business at the same time. So I think with any type of business, you need to just go to your strengths, and earlier on, if possible, try and outsource as much as you don't need to do. So for example, with me, I've got a team I've got a couple of group leaders now, and I have a virtual assistant that she does all my admin, or pretty much all my admin, because I just don't have the time, and it's not really me. I'm not very good at admin to run that part of the business. So in answer to your question, I will get there. I think in business, the best part is running your business, but let go of anything that you're not that good at. I know you see it as a financial outlay, but actually those people are better at it than you are, and they can do things much more quickly than you can. So try and think not about the pound signs going out, or the euro signs going out. Think of long term, what it's going to do for your business.
Yeah, I really agree with you on that, Louise, because and sometimes it's hard to consider doing that at early doors. But actually, one of my clients, so I work with my clients, generally speaking, for 6 months. And I think at about month 5 of working with one of my clients, I was like, okay, I know that you're doing really well now, because she was. And I was like, oh, and I know you probably still don't feel that you're doing enough to take on somebody, but next contract that you close, consider ring fencing some money to take on a virtual assistant, and just start taking that mindset, because you can't grow on your own. Like you can't, you just can't, like, because you'll start, as you say, you said you didn't like the admin. So if you don't, you drop balls, and then they could be costly balls that you drop,
Nobody wants to drop their balls.
Yeah, you gotta indeed. As I said, actually, what was it? I heard somebody say, like, if you're juggling a lot of balls, you have to ask yourself, are they glass? So if they drop and they break, are you going to be devastated, or will they bounce? And then just hand them to somebody else who is just better at that. So that is great advice. Like, and sometimes, it's not sometimes the tasks in your business. Sometimes it's the house management. If you've gone from having kids, you've already left corporate, and you're like, okay, well, you've been in an unpaid role, a full-time unpaid role,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
extra time, overtime, unpaid role, a very
Mm,
important one, and you've been raising children and managing a household. Sometimes what you need then is actually not so much help in the business per se, but help with that, because you've got to find time for your business. You've got to
yeah.
find time to network, you've got to find time to follow up,
Mm.
to support each other.
Ah,
You've said,
don't get me on that one. Don't get me on follow-ups.
yeah, you got to follow up, because
Yeah.
otherwise, what's the point of networking? You've got to have those chats. So
I mean,
you got to
I
find that
spoke to a
time.
lady to last week actually on Saturday. I rang her on Saturday, and she said to me, I feel that I've lost my confidence myself, and she's a visitor coming along to one of the meetings. And I said, do not worry, walk in the door, you've done the hard bit. That once you're in the door, we will make sure you are well looked after, and made to feel welcome. And I think that's my job. That's my job, not the admin side of things. My job is to make visitors and members feel welcome and part of a network. So I should be spending my time on the telephone talking to people, finding out issues and problems and that type of thing, not doing the other stuff that makes the wheels turn. And you know what? I for years, Elaine, I stood back and said, "Oh, I can't. I have to run my meetings. I have to run my meetings. It's me. It's me." But actually, this last 6 months, I've now got two group leaders, and they are amazing. They bring other things to the group, that I didn't. So of course I can let go, but in my head I was like, no, it has to be me, Um, and that they will bring extra things, and it means that I can do other stuff as well. So actually, like, I totally agree. I think we're saying the same thing. Do what you're good at and let somebody else do everything else.
Good for you. Good for you. Tell me, what's the best advice you've received in the lot in your business to date?
I think just say yes and then worry about doing it afterwards, because actually, you know what? I'm sure you also said that. I think that's what the talk was about, because it's so easy to go, oh no, oh, I'll think about that. Oh, I'll do that later. And actually, you're missing opportunities. So just say yes, then go into a blind panic once you've said yes. And
The
then
phone
just,
down.
what have I done? What have I done? And then it will be fine. And if it isn't, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. We it's in our heads too much. That's the problem. We all, and I'm just as guilty as anybody else, you just you think about it too much, you overthink it, and then it's a good reason not to do it. Or people will say silly little things like, oh, I can't come to networking yet, I don't have a website or a business card. And I'm like, well, firstly, that's rubbish, just get out there. And secondly, I know people that can help you with that, a website and business cards. So just do it, just get out there and do it.
Yeah, fly the plane and build it. Like, put the wings on as you're flying. It's a rocket without wings, so just keep going.
Oh,
I agree with that. Obviously, there is a downside to that, but what I do love about networking is that, yeah, you just spoke about a woman who doesn't have a business yet, and actually, in my in person in Dublin, I often meet people who come to go, okay, what's it like being a business owner? And yeah, and it's like, yeah, sometimes you've just got to say yes and go and then
yeah.
have the panic attack afterwards. Like I did last September, and I think this is what you were talking about.
Yes, it is.
Last September or last August, I got asked to speak at a conference, and I just went, yes. Once I figured they were legit, I was like, yes. And then I went, oh my God, panic. And then I went, that's what I'm going to talk about. They were like, great. I was like, okay, panic, what do I do with the mic? Or how, I had never done that before. But and then I kept saying to myself, Elaine, you were Snow White in Senior Infants. You've sung in the concert hall, and I was like, when you were 12, and I was like, and you've pitched in front of huge businesses in Ireland and stood up in front of heads of industry. Just get on with it. Like, and
Yeah,
if you need help, reach out to your network, like you just
yeah,
said.
absolutely. And you see, I remember and that's the other thing I think about networking is to make things that are memorable because you meet so many different people and your lives are so busy that actually coming to a network and being a little bit different or saying something or bringing something different is will make you memorable, and that's what people will remember, and so I remember that story that you said, and when you think how many people I meet and how many years I've been doing it, there will still be things that I can pick out that people said donkeys years ago, like the funeral director we had that brought along a ashes box in the shape of a train and said, "This is for train spotters." I was like,
Oh,
that's just stood in my memory for, silly little things, isn't it? But I'll always remember that.
yeah, that is actually cool. Yeah, and it's very memorable. Yeah,
Mhm.
and actually leads me quite neatly onto my next question because I was going to say that's very good. I know obviously death is sad, but let's face it, we're all going to die. That's the one, death
Yeah,
and taxes, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
The two things life is certain in life. But tell me, how do you promote? Like, how do you get new members? How do you promote your business?
So mainly word of mouth, because my lovely members and my lovely visitors, will tell everybody else, which is the best way for anything, isn't it? Any kind of networking is through referrals. So that's kind of firstly. But then we're on socials as well. So I send out a newsletter. So if anybody wants to join my newsletter, you're more than welcome to. Just drop me a line. We're on socials, and obviously we've got the Women in Business Network website, which you can find all of the lovely groups around Europe as well, or should say national as well as the local ones.
Very cool, very cool. And tell me, then, how can people get in touch with you, Louise? Can people visit first? How does it work?
Yeah, good question. So we run monthly meetings, so you can come along to a meeting and see what you think. Wibben nationally run monthly What is Wibben sessions. So they're called Intro to Wibben. And that's just, I think it's half an hour, 45 minutes, just a Zoom call. Just if you no idea what it is, it'll just, Angel will explain a little bit about this is what Wibben is all about. And then she will direct you to either a local meeting near you or a national group, depending on where you are and what you want to do. And then you come along. So come along for a visit, either online or face to face, and just feel the vibe. Really, feel the vibe. See if it's for you, and then decide if you want to join. With no kind of arm up your back, any of those tactics at all. It's got to be right for you. So a little bit of stalking going on, but nothing major. Nice stalking, not full on
Yeah,
stalking.
yeah, yeah. Following up,
Following
following
up,
up. That's
that's
what we call stalking in our business. Following up.
following up. Yeah, absolutely. Following up. Yes, that's a much better way of putting it.
Oh, that is brilliant. Well, look, somewhere around this video, I'm going to have your details so that people can reach out to you and connect with you. So thank you so much for putting your business under the spotlight
You're
with me
welcome.
today. I really appreciated our chat. Thank you so much, Louise Yaxley.
Thank you very much, Elaine. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.